I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. Today is Friday, May 23rd, and the energies in the day adds up and reduce to number 1 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. So whenever the number 1 is present on a day like today, the number 1 reflects the beginning. The number 1 is ruled by the sun. Whenever I see the number 1 energy, I think of I am. I think of winning or wanting to win. And that brings me to how whenever the number 1 energy is present and it is strong, how a person will almost paralyze in place from getting started because fear of failure. I think of, procrastination, but the procrastination comes from a person not feeling like they have enough or could or can do something. A person not feeling like they're qualified, they have what it takes. And from that fear, a person paralyzed in place and don't take action. Always think about taking action, come up with these grand ideas and fantasize about the possibilities. But the lack of trust in self, cripples a person in place. Also, the number 1 energy deals with confidence. It's bold, it's masculine, it's extroverted energy, it's action-oriented energy. So today could be a day that we start something new, we jump into a new project or a new opportunity. But for me, the number 1 deals with the mind. It's the mental aspects of things. So with the number 1 dealing with the mind, on a day like today, we have a lot of good ideas. A lot of great ideas are flowing in. And on a day like today, you want to journal your good ideas, put them on paper because you're going to need to plan out how you're going to put these ideas in motion before taking action so that you could have a successful execution. With the day being the 23rd, the number 2 is a nurturing energy. As you know, it comes after the number 1. The number 1 is the father. It's the beginning. The number 1 is the idea, like I mentioned. And the number 2 nurtures the idea of the number 1. It nurtures it. And when I think of the nurturing aspect of the number 2, I think of in order for any of us to become great nurturers of anything, we first need to learn how to nurture ourselves. We first need to learn how to pour into our cups. I think of how sometimes when I'm doing sessions, I'll, for fun, ask a person, what do you need in order to be nurtured? And most of the time, I think of how most of us might think of nurturing as grooming, things that we need to do anyways, for the most part, some of us on a day-to-day basis to participate in society. When to me, nurturing is how do you pour into your soul? How do you energize yourself? How do you bounce back? How do you energize yourself for the most part on a soul level? And for me, when we're not good nurturers of ourselves, then I feel like it's hard for us to be a good nurturer of anything. Because for me, when it comes to being a nurturer, and what helped me to become a good nurturer was having plants. Because with my plants, I couldn't just sit them in any position in any place that I wanted to. I had to observe them to see what spot is the ideal spot for them based on the amount of sunlight that comes into that spot. Then I had to observe them to see how much water do they need in order to grow, in order to flourish. Because if I don't give enough water, they're gonna dry up. If I give too much water, the roots will rot and they'll die. So I have to observe them to find the perfect balance. And I think of how when, some of us who don't realize that we're not good nurturers will pour into people and then find ourselves feeling some type of way as what we're pouring into them isn't appreciated and isn't, there's no reciprocity. And I feel like a lot of the times, just because we would like a thing doesn't mean that that's something that that person would like. Like I think of, say, the person that would go and buy the most expensive, say, bracelet for their partner, and their partner said thank you, but that's not, that's not something that is important to that partner, where instead to that partner, maybe, I don't know, going for like getting a blanket and having lunch in the park on a blanket and having conversation and reading and spending quality time might be what that person needs in order to feel loved. Where the other person who didn't check in with that other person to see what is it that they need to feel appreciated, they're giving all the nice things that they think a person would like, maybe going by what society and the internet and things of that nature says that a person should like, but then they're not getting the response that they think they should be getting for what they're putting in, when instead they need to take a step back and observe that person to see what is it that, what makes them feel seen, what makes them feel appreciated. And I feel like a lot of the times when we struggle with that with other people, it's because we're not good at that for ourselves. We might say nurturing is I remember for me at one point when I was big on, I was going to the nail salon, and yes, I like the way how my nails look when it was done, but it's like if I could have just teleport my hands there and then let them deliver them when I'm done, that would be so perfect. Where just being there and the time it took and everything, I'd rather just sit in my car and chill or be at home doing nothing than to be doing that. That's just not my thing. Where for someone else, with say strong Taurus placement, I could see being served and tend to might be nurturing, where for me that wasn't nurturing. Sitting in the nail salon whether my feet is getting done or I'm doing something to my nails, it just wasn't nurturing for me. And I remember me thinking, I'm going to nurture myself today by doing that. So when I think of today being the 23rd, it's like the number 2 energy brings our attention to how we nurture ourselves and how we nurture others. And a lot of us need to get back to the basics and figure out, how can I be a better nurturer to myself? What makes me feel seen? What makes me feel energized? What makes the inner child within me come alive? Where do I feel the most alive and the most seen and the most energized? So the number 2 energy, is a nurturing energy. So how could you be a better nurturer of self today? How could you be a better nurturer of self? That's a good question to ask. So the number 3 is the child. The number 3 is a childlike energy. It's expressive, it's playful. And 2 + 3 is 5. So this brings in some sudden and unexpected changes to the day. The energy could feel a bit sudden and unexpected. I think of wild card energy, where with the energies in the day adding up and reducing to the number 1, we have all these ideas. And then with the day being the 23rd, we want to just act on all of these ideas. And that could just be a reason to not be still. Because, the 23, 2 + 3 is 5. The number 5 sometimes has a hard time being still. And the number 5 deals with change, the need for change. The number 5 for me is like that glitch in the matrix. It's that sudden and unexpected change that comes in. But for me, this is powerful energy, and it's important for us to align ourselves with that glitch, that sudden and unexpected energy. And for me, we align ourselves by keeping our thoughts in a space that causes us to feel good or just feel neutral. If you can't get your thoughts in a space to feel good. But for me, how I get my thoughts in that kind of space is by, if there's something on my mind or something bothering me, I'm honest to myself about what I'm experiencing, and I pull the journal out and I vent, I express myself. And then after venting and expressing myself, maybe I might need to ask some questions in order to get clarity around a thing. But once I'm there, I might watch something, look at something that's funny that allows me to chuckle real hard. And from a good chuckle, I feel like that energy brings me back into a good space. So today the moon is in Aries, and with the moon in Aries, for me, whenever the moon gets there, if there's something that frustrates me or annoys me, I can tell, because from the moment I open my eyes, I could just feel this feeling wanting to show your teeth. And the moon though conjuncts Venus, and Venus is an energy that brings in balance. It brings in diplomacy. So the moon is our inner world, and with it in Aries, our inner world is in a space where we want something to happen, and we need it to happen since yesterday. So that's interesting to me in the sense that the moon is in a space where our inner world is nurtured by being impulsive, by acting, by, you know how your mind will want you, like say you're trying to meditate and focus on one thing, and the mind will bring in this feeling of urgency to look at something else that's just not important. I feel like moon and Aries sometimes could bring out that part of us, and there goes that impulsive energy. And the day being the 23rd, that energy could be impulsive also, but impulsive when it comes to the 23, impulsive justified by some emotional reason, feeling something strongly and then acting. And then the energies in the day adding up and reducing to the number 1 idea. We have this, an idea came to mind and we jumped on it and didn't give ourselves enough time to, lay the plan out on paper and then act from that. But, I guess that's also the positive thing about Aries energy, moon and Aries, where Aries is an energy that don't think things through. It kind of jumps in the swimming pool and then realize there's no water in it. But that could be a good thing sometimes, because sometimes we could overthink things, we overplan, and we get stuck from overplanning and overthinking. So the positive side of Aries energy and the day being the 23rd is that we didn't give something enough time, and we jumped on the opportunity, and that could, bring in some blessings. And for some people, it could be problematic, but I like how the moon is positively speaking to Mars in Leo, because Leo energy brings in courage and Mars motivates taking action. So the inner world is in a place where we're ready for the action. It's like we're ready to get active. And with Venus there, we're valuing the idea of getting active, like let's get moving, let's do something. The only thing also too that's standing out is Venus conjuncts Chiron. So this could go one way or the next, where with Chiron energy, Chiron talks about wounds, but it collectively, it would reflect wounds that we're all dealing with when it comes to how we're seen, how we want to be seen, our ambition, our ability to take action. So with Venus conjunct Chiron and then the moon conjunct Venus, we could be nurtured to take action from a space of, we want to prove to ourselves that we're better than this wound. Or in some places, we're taking action from, feeling like we're not enough and trying to compensate for something. And that could be painful, because if things don't work out the way we thought they should, then we could find ourselves feeling devastated, because this action that we took was supposed to compensate for something. It was supposed to help us to feel a way about ourselves, or it was supposed to mean something about us. And taking action from a place like that could definitely be problematic. But I like that the moon in Aries is positively speaking to Mars in Leo, because if whatever it is that we're starting today, like say you finally decide to start the blog today, drop the video, start the podcast or whatever, Mars and Leo speaking to the moon and Aries, this energy can help us to conjure up the courage and just do it already, not overthink it and just do it. And Mars in Leo is squaring Mercury conjunct Uranus in Taurus, and Uranus conjuncts the sun in Gemini. So there's definitely something around communication or thinking about something too much, or fear of taking action because we're too, thinking about how our comfort might be disrupted in some way. The false sense of security or stability might be disrupted in some way. So when it comes to the spirit guidance, ooh, nice. So the butterfly spirit comes in today. And with the butterfly spirit coming in, this energy brings us to change. And and it's so perfect, because the energies in the day does add up and reduce to number 1 vibration. And it is the 23rd, bringing in sudden and unexpected changes. When I think of the butterfly energy though, I always go back to say the caterpillar stage and completing the caterpillar stage, and then moving on to the butterfly stage. And when I think of the caterpillar stage, I think of like the earth side of things. I think I associate the caterpillar with earth, with, foundational energy. And then the butterfly energy brings me to air energy. It's like a shift in mindset. Also, too, when I think of the caterpillar and the butterfly, I think of the caterpillar, how it spends pretty much its life eating and eating and eating. And then when we get to the butterfly stage, it brings me to the thought of how it brings me to magician energy, the butterfly. In this moment, I'm thinking about magician energy. I'm thinking about how for a lot of us, we'll have enough experience when it comes to a thing. Because of what we've been through or the career we chose, we have experience. We were in a caterpillar stage when it comes to something. And then life has shifted and it's time to step into that butterfly energy. Maybe it's time to teach the thing that we've been consuming or learning for some time. Or maybe we're starting something new, and the new thing that we're starting, we can support it with the knowledge that we've developed while we were in our caterpillar stage. And some of us might second guess ourselves and feel like we don't know enough. We still need to gather information, when in fact, like, you have everything within you. When you were the caterpillar, you ate everything you needed to eat in order to nourish you for this journey. And also too, when I think of the butterfly energy, I always go back to that compass that the butterfly has within it that guides it from one space to the next, to where, us humans we're inspired on how the butterfly could move from one part of the world to the other. And it's like, how did it know to go from here to there? Like, who told it what to do? And I think of that guidance that we all have within us, and it's a matter of surrendering and trusting it. And when I look at, say, where the moon is today and it's speaking to Mars and Leo, I think how some of us could get this burst of inspiration to just act. And normally, say you would be someone who thinks yourself out of something or talks yourself out of it, but not today. You're ready to take action. When it comes to the tarot, let's pause for a bit. I am proud of the services that I offer and excited to tell you about them. If it would be your first time booking with me, then I recommend the natal chart and numerology awareness coaching session. For a while, that was the only service I offered, along with the 30 minutes tarot reading, which is still available if you're interested. I noticed a pattern. At the end of the natal chart and numerology coaching sessions, some of you would ask me for a follow-up service options for additional clarity and guidance to assist you with whatever you're going through at the moment. I kept saying, I'll look into it. I don't know why it took me so long. Finally, I have created that option, along with the service option to book a solar return chart reading for those of you who are strategic and like to plan ahead. Everything you need to know is within the description box below. Let's get back into the video. We have the 6 of Cups in the upright position. And in the upright, this brings me to a community. It brings me to a thought of like a coven. When I look at this card coming out in the reversal position, it brings me to the thought of how we outgrow certain groups, we outgrow certain communities. I think of, say, 2 people being friends or being a part of an environment. And if one person is, or even in a relationship, it's like if one partner is investing in themselves and they're growing mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and the other partner isn't growing, like, I could see how that throws them in different timelines, throws them in different frequencies, because their vibration is separating, because they're not equally building, equally growing. So with the 6 of Cups coming out in the reversal position, it brings me to, maybe some kind of a separation from a community, outgrowing something, coming to the realization that we've outgrown something. We've outgrown something. And that's okay, because if something's not growing, it's dead. And not saying that the others who aren't growing is just that, but you don't want to feel guilty for growing is what I'm getting when it comes to this energy. It was a pleasure sharing this message with you. I would love to hear from you. You could do that by dropping a red heart in the comment box below before you go anywhere. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.